What's up, guys? Welcome back to CT Bushcraft. Today we're doing another episode in the studio. Just looking at some gear that I've got. And for those of you who follow the channel, you may know that I like knives. I like knives a lot. I have a lot of knives. Hence why I have a lot of videos on knives. But that also means I like axes. You know, it's a little bit of a transferable thing. I don't have nearly as many axes, but I've got a few. And I thought I'd do a video today just looking at the different types that I have, because the three axes that I do have are very different. Let's just take a look at them, their different uses, the use I've gotten out of them, the damage that they've sustained, and whatnot. So I guess to start, we'll start with my oldest one, which also happens to be my biggest. This is my cold steel Trail Boss axe with a hickory handle, straight handle on it. I think I got this thing on Amazon. I want to say for around $25. I'll put the link to it again in the description as always. But I think I paid around $25 for this, which, for what it is I think a great deal. I love this thing. It's my oldest axe because I was using kind of a cheap hatchet for a while, and I was like, you know what, let's just like get an axe. And this is longer than it appeared in the photo, but I mean, I guess I could have just gotten a tape measure out and checked how long it was, but in the end it's worked out perfectly. Now, it did not come with any of this leather stuff on it. That is all stuff I've added to it. So I just added a leather collar here, and tied it with some leather strapping in the back. And then this is my own kind of custom leather sheath for it. It's soft leather, so it doesn't protect it super well, but you know, you're not going to cut yourself on it. You're not going to damage the blade really. And it's just something to protect it, you know. So it actually turned out well, being my first ever leather project. If you have a cold steel Trail Boss, not Trail Hawk, sorry, Trail Boss, and would like any of these, let me know, and there's a decent chance I could probably reproduce one of them if you're interested. So let's take this off and take a look at the blade. Don't look too closely because it is in not great condition. It does have one large nick there from the early days of when I had it, and I hit a rock with it. Actually, it chipped off into the ground and hit like a pebble, but it again took a pretty good chunk out of it. The rest of the blade is in good condition. It needs to be touched up because I've used this quite a bit recently. It's in good condition. It's fine condition. It works. And when you sharpen up the good parts of the edge, it works quite well. It is a very heavy axe, which I like. You can get a lot of power. So if you're splitting big logs, you're splitting a particular hardwood, this is what I want with me. Nice strong hickory handle. You can see there, there's been a little bit of bulging between the handle there and the head, but there's no movement in the head, and I think that's only made it tighter, a tighter fit. It hasn't moved in a while, and I'm just careful and mindful of it. I may end up having to purchase another one of these, because now that I know more about axe safety and how to maintain axes and how not to treat them, I may want to buy a new one of these because it's a very nice axe for the money. It really gets the job done. It's a pretty good steel, and I kind of might want one that's in a little bit better condition, doesn't have a giant nick in the blade, and is like popping out here. So this is my biggest and my oldest axe. I really do like it a lot. I've got a lot of good use out of it. But that said, let's move on to my next one. So I decided to invest a little bit more money in my next one, and I've had this for, I want to say, about 8 months now, and it's a Brook small forest axe. I managed to get a pretty good deal on this, and uh, and the holster for it as well. I was trying to think of where I bought the actual axe, and I remember that I went to Craft Lab Leather, which is the other side of the company for Craft Lab knives. They're based out of the UK, run by Ben and Lois Orford. The husband does the knives, the wife does the leather work, and I saw this this holster for their Grantsford axes, and they make different sizes for them. And I was like, oh, I kind of want that, because I would always be sticking my axe down in my belt, you know, when I was done chopping something down. It's just uncomfortable to walk with it like that. So I was like, oh, that's kind of a nice thing to have. So I went and got this, and then found that they actually sell the Grantsford axes on their website, the Craft Lab Leather and Craft Lab Knives website, for a very good price. So I went and purchased this from there. They also make a mask similar to the one that I made for my Trail Boss, that doesn't strap around. It just kind of goes over the edge of it so that it fits in their holster better. But I found that the one that Grantsford sends you fits well with the Craft Lab holster. So again, this is Craft Lab Leather by Lois Orford. Fantastic. I have their scabbard for my Baco Laplander. I love their stuff. Very high quality. So worth checking them out. So the Grantsford Small Forest Axe. It comes with this leather mask for it. I'm thinking of potentially getting a collar for it at some point, because it's, you know, it's taking a just some, like, if you're splitting bigger logs, it's not really scratched. The wood's held up fantastically, but you've got the well, first it's Grantsford Sweden there. You've got the company seal, and then also the initials of the person who forged this axe head at the company. Solid piece of wood for the handle, a little bit of a curvature to it. It's got a really nice feel. I really love the contouring of this handle, because it's comfortable for one-handed use, but also you can get enough leverage on here with this bulge at the end to be able to use two hands. It's got a nice back to it, so you can hammer in stakes with it. Very sharp blade, shaving sharp right out of the box. Again, I've been using this a lot lately, so I need to touch it up, and I plan on doing that. But this blade, I purchased this, and after I learned how to really handle axes, so this blade has no damage to it. It's in fantastic condition. This, I've had no movement between the handle and the head on this one. It stayed exactly where it was when I got it. This is my favorite axe. I'm just gonna come straight out and say it. Sometimes I'll take the big one. Sometimes I'll take the next one, which I'll show you. But I really find that, you know, this is the one I grab for the most, because it's the perfect size. It's the perfect compromise between a nice two-handed axe and a one-handed axe. You can do both. The blade is so sharp and such high quality steel that you can do fine work with it. Like really, you know, make feather sticks if you want to. You can do camp craft, wood crafting with it. I love this axe. I love the look of it. I love the feel of it. I love everything about it. I would absolutely recommend it. I'll put the link to these axes on the Craft Lab website in the description also, because again, they had the best deal that I could find on them. So this is my mid-size axe and my favorite axe, but now let's get into my last one, which is my newest one, and which was actually given to me as a gift for Christmas. I did not purchase this. However, I was thinking it might not be a bad idea to get myself a hatchet, like a small, but like a nice hatchet, you know. And sure enough, I guess someone read my mind. I actually did not ask anyone specifically for this. This was just given to me as a gift. This is a S-Wing Sportsman camping hatchet. Now, S-Wing is known for you know, their hammers and high quality hand tools. This axe is certainly no exception to the rule. Made in USA, very high quality steel. It's got a stacked leather handle there with some black and white striping on the top and bottom, but it's layered pieces, and then it's all shaped. The steel, versus Granger's Brooks or the other axes I've showed you, this is a solid piece of steel from the handle all the way down to the bottom of it there. It is a pretty small hatchet. It's a little over a foot long, but it's got a flat back on it, which I do like on all of my axes, so that you can hammer stakes in or whatnot. Pretty narrow profile. It is the narrowest profile for a blade of any of the axes I have. And I took this on my most recent overnight trip, again because it's new and I wanted to test it out and see, and I was trying to go a little bit lighter. Now, two issues came up with that. First is that the factory edge on this is not very good, and I was honestly a little surprised by that. Given that S-Wing is a pretty decent company, the factory edge on this really was pretty dull and was not biting. Sorry, pardon the voice crack. Was not biting while I was trying to cut, and I found that a little disappointing. But more than disappointing, just inconvenient when you're in the middle of the woods. Granted, I should have checked that before I went out. That's on me. But that was the first issue I had with it. The second is that it is, because of this solid steel construction, it is a nice heavy blade, right? So you could do some pretty good splitting with it. But if you're trying to split some bigger rounds or some knotty stuff, this really doesn't have the power in the weight, nor can you get the leverage to really accomplish that. So I found myself struggling a little bit once I got up to the bigger rounds of some of the dead standing wood that I brought down. I managed, obviously, and now just know the limitations of this hatchet. But I like the aesthetic of it a lot. It's the most different looking of the axes and hatchets that I have, and I was going to get a hatchet anyway, so once I put a new edge on this, it'll work great, and now that I know the limitations of it, it's great as well. So I will say that I guess my third issue with it is this sheath that they have. It's got a belt loop on it, but the belt loop's very tight. I would never carry this on my belt, I don't think. But the issue with the sheath is that you have to put the axe through the sheath in order to get it up and then snap it like that. I don't like that at all. So again, to open it up, you have to pull the whole sheath off. I really don't like that. I think that they should have made what is just a grommet right here, a snap, so you could snap that, snap this, and pull it off the front. I think that is a poor design feature. Also, it's a pretty crummy sheath. It's ballistic nylon. It is what it is. But I will end up making a leather sheath on my own for this, because I can't stand this thing. I also just don't like the look of it. I like having a leather mask on my axe. So, but other than that, I think with a new blade, a new sheath, I really will like this thing and use it a lot more. So that kind of covers it for my axes. We've looked at my saws, and there's this series on my knives. So I figured I'd take my axes out and take a look at them. I've got 3 of them. I don't plan on buying any more in the near future, because I've kind of got all my bases covered. The only potentially new one that I buy is a new Trail Boss, just because that one's a little bit damaged. But I think with the 3 I've got all my bases covered. I really like them. Again, my favorite is the Granger's Brook small forest axe. But I know this is a pretty long-winded video just about axes, but if you're really out there doing bushcraft stuff, you appreciate a quality axe, and I hope this will help some people look at the different types of axes you can get, the different levels of quality, and just what my preference is as far as my axes. So please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video. Check us out on Instagram, shout us out, share our pages, contact us. We always like to hear from our viewers and our followers. We always like chatting with you guys. Again, this is Will from CT Bushcraft. Until next time, stay safe out there, folks.